Hey guys, I'm Marissa.
I'm Callie.
And today we're going to be talking to you guys about a little bit of a recap from our trip to Los Angeles for our TV and film studio class. Professors Erickson and Strano. And just to kind of start off, we went during spring break and, well, to start, it was actually cold. But, you know, we made the best of it and we had to dress up a lot, so that was a lot of fun. But to start our trip, we got there on March 1st.
Which we traveled all day, practically Friday. We left school around 1, which is very stressful. I thought that it was going to be easy to get all packed up and get to the bus, but I literally was running across campus, like, last second. Then, you know, we had the 3-hour bus ride to BWI. We had a, 8-hour flight over, to California.
Right.
Then another bus ride to the hotel. We didn't end up getting in until after midnight.
Mm-hmm.
It was really late night, but then the next day, so our first full day in LA, we took a little walking tour of, like, the area around us just so we, like, knew where we were going. And then we took a bus tour and got to see all the different homes of, like, famous people, like actresses and actors and musicians. What was your favorite part of that tour? Even though it was really rainy that day, but
I personally, I thought obviously the celebrity homes was really cool just to be that close, and even seeing some of the homes where Michael Jackson lived, and seeing the outside of that gate, because that's like the famous picture with the ambulance coming out.
Yeah.
That's that picture, if you guys remember, and we all looked it up. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah,
crazy.
It was weird that we were in the same place, and throughout the whole trip we were in places that had significance to us, but we didn't have that connection, like actually being there and piecing together an event in history or something that we've idolized or watched, and then actually being there, like, where it took place was really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, we're so far away from California. It's not, like a simple little hop, skip, and a jump. It's definitely something you have to plan for. And Erickson and Strand did such a great job fitting a lot of different variety of things within our budget. I felt like we had really cool and interesting things to do the whole time we were there, regardless of the weather. But then we also went to the Second City, which was the improv show.
Yeah, it was like a comedy club, improv type place.
I can definitely say it was a whole new experience for me. I've never seen anything like that before.
Because it was improv, but it was also still, like, planned out, like, they... Mm-hmm. It was kind of strange, though, because it didn't seem as much improv.
Right.
But, like, I guess every show's different, and, like, they had music, so that's hard to have a song improv, but...
Absolutely.
It was, well, the show that we saw, we can't really say too much about it, because it was, like, kind of inappropriate,
It
but...
was called Canuck as... You
fill in the blank.
Yeah, fill in the blank. It was on Second City, but we can't say here.
And it was... We read, like, a little description about it, and the way we all thought it was going to be, we thought it was going to make fun of Canadians. Mm-hmm. Well, little to our knowledge, we got there, and no, they were making fun of us.
Yeah.
Hardcore making fun of Americans, and it was really entertaining, and it was funny, but at the same time, and I think a lot of people in the class agreed that they were making fun of real issues that are very prevalent to, like, our society today. Mm-hmm. And I know I was talking to one of my friends after, and she was telling me that there were 2, like, parts of the show that really upset her because, they were issues or things that she really could relate to, but, like, they were making fun of them. So... But I guess you kind of have to see the light, laugh at some of the issues, but at the same time, some were a little too...
It just really depends on, like, what you're open to as far as humor goes. And that was kind of in connection to that, there was a lot of warm-up people to the live shows that we went to, and one of the tapings we went to was The Neighborhood, and the warm-up person for that, he actually was, like, a comedian, the way he kind of did it, and he would say things that were very, like,
inappropriate,
racially sensitive, but, like,
and kind of dirty sometimes,
And he's like, you guys need to lighten up. He's like, your generation, obviously talking to the younger groups, and he's like, you guys need to realize that, it's okay to laugh at yourself. He wasn't just excluding his own race. He was coming at all, you know,
Yeah.
but in a joking way. He didn't mean anything that he was saying, but, you know, he
was making everything lighthearted and
right, exactly,
making us realize, you know, not everything has to be so serious all the time. But I think that's one of the things we learned is that, you know, things are a lot different than what we thought they were. I think a lot of our perspectives about TV and film and just life in general, I think,
Absolutely.
changed after that trip. So to go along with, you know, getting a different perspective, we got to tour a lot of different studios. So one of the first ones that we toured, and probably one of my favorites, was Universal. We got there. It was a little rainy in the morning. Like, it was kind of like a dreary day. And, but we first took a, a studio tour of their backlots and their sound stages. And we actually they had a simulation of, like, King Kong and, like, what is that called? The tram that we were on.
Right.
It was, like, in this huge stage thing that they had built where they did a simulation, like, the cart was, like, moving, and
it was like a King Kong,
actually nuts.
Jurassic World mashup.
Yeah.
It was like we were in the movie. It was the craziest thing.
Yeah, then they also had another simulation that was Fast and Furious, right? Fast and Furious, and it actually made you feel like you were there, and that's what was so crazy. Like, you went in, the lights went off, like, you had your 3D glasses, this stuff was coming at you, jumping at you,
water coming at you, you could smell things.
Yeah,
it
air,
was crazy.
And then, you know, at the end, you'd come back out to daylight, and you're like, wow, like, that really just happened. And another really cool one was they had a scene from Bones that was, like, the underground, like, subway, and it was a scene from the show, and they, like, reenacted it, and, like, there was fire, there was floodwaters.
Yeah, the water was, like, coming down
all
the
this
steps,
crazy
like,
stuff.
It was so crazy.
It was very insane, and you could definitely tell a lot of hard work went into that. But then also so after we took the studio tour, we spent the entire day at Universal, actually. And I think this was one of my favorite days because in the beginning of the day, when we all got there, you know, our class was 22 people, 24 with our professors. And somehow, I'm not really sure how, we kind of split into 2 groups. And because, you know, there's so many of us, it's hard to do everything to satisfy what everyone wants.
Right.
And, you know, I knew a couple people, like, I knew Marissa, I knew one of the girls, Tori, on the trip. Like, I knew people, but we all weren't very close. And we all kind of split off into a little bit of a smaller group. I think there was 10 of us.
Yeah.
And we all just got along so well and just meshed really well. And so we spent the whole day in the wizarding world of Harry Potter and going on rides.
And Krusty Town, I think, from The Simpsons.
Yeah.
And then the Despicable Me.
Yeah, the Despicable Me ride thing.
Yeah.
We were there from the time the park opened until the time it closed. And it was very tiring, but very fun.
And we didn't even expect that, like, when we initially saw that on the schedule, because the only thing we had to go to was the tour, and then we were allowed to leave if we wanted to and make a day of whatever we wanted to do, but we were like, well, you know, we paid money to come here, we're gonna, you know, explore this. We had no idea we were gonna say, we're like, oh, we don't have more time? Like, we were like, oh my gosh, like, we just barely felt like we did everything that we wanted to do.
Yeah, and we still missed a lot.
And we didn't, like, take a lot of breaks. We're like, all right, let's go to the next thing so we can try to fit everything in. Like,
yeah,
it was fun, though.
We did not sit down. We sat down for and then not sci-fi.
Sci-fi?
No, oh gosh.
Oh,
special effects.
Wow.
Yeah.
I knew what you were trying to say, and I was not on the right page either.
There was a special effects show.
That was really
and
cool.
It was crazy. They, like, put a man on fire, or set a man on fire. They set a man on fire.
That was absolutely.
And showed us all, like, the stunts that they do.
And then also with sound, how, like, they have specific people making, like, running and crashing sounds and hitting people in the head. Like, it's not, like, actually the actors necessarily. It's people behind the scenes hitting boards and rubbing things together.
Yeah,
and
like, crushing cans.
Yeah, and you wouldn't even guess. Like,
yeah,
you don't even think about that when you're watching the movie.
It's very realistic.
It really is.
Something we think is so complex is actually so simple in the way of, you know, it's not
always what it seems.
Yeah.
And that's exactly it. That wasn't just only something Warner Brothers did or Universal. They all did, like, you know, in their shows, like, even something like they're called facades, right?
The buildings.
So the buildings that they from the front look like they're a whole building, but it's really just a front of, like, maybe a house with some sort of architecture to it. But there's really nothing inside. Like, so many shows that we see actually occur on sound stages that are complete sets. They're not really houses, even though they look like it. They have beaches, but they're not really beaches. They're mounds of sand, and then
backdrop.
CGI and backdrops, and it's just the illusion in Hollywood is crazy. Like,
it's kind of like,
oh my gosh,
when you're little and, you know, you believe Santa is Santa for so long, and then you grow up to find out that, you know, it's not Santa, it's your parents. It was kind of like that, you know. We think all this stuff happens on location. Like, for the longest time, actually up until the trip, I really thought that when things were filmed in New York or a big city or something,
or water scenes, like ocean,
that they were just rented out or, like, on location. But really, that would take so much money and time and mess up so many different things for, you know, other people, that they have to recreate it in a different location, which is why a lot of studios have a backlot where they have a Chicago street setting or a New York street setting. And that was just so crazy to me, because they're selling this illusion that you don't really think about how much of an illusion it is until you're there and you're like, wow, my favorite movie was filmed in the backlot of Warner Brothers, not actually.
And so was this movie, and so was this show. And they literally just paint the sets. And there was even someone, they said, that had the job of putting gum onto the sidewalks and making it look like it was set there and creating cracks in the road to make it look old.
Yeah, I think that was
every little detail.
Was that Paramount, I believe?
I think so.
Yeah, Paramount, they were actually repainting and, like, decorating the New York street setting for a different movie. They couldn't tell us, obviously, but, you know, they were setting it up for Christmas and repainting things. And it was crazy because, like, a corner shop that they were repainting, like, yellow or something, was used in many other movies and different scenes for TV shows. And it's just crazy how they can dress it up and dress it down any way they want, and you would never even know from movie to movie.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. And then I think it was Sony that had that parking lot that has a huge white wall mural, and they can use the
No, I think that was Paramount.
Oh, that was Paramount? Okay. Paramount, and they had that huge white wall, and it was a parking lot, and they have the cars clear out whenever they want to do a water scene. And what was filmed there? The Ten Commandments?
Yeah, and I think, like, Castaway or something else was filmed. I mean, there were many other things that were filmed there, but those were two of them. And yeah, it was crazy. They said it takes 24 hours to fill the whole parking lot, and 24 to drain, and I cannot remember how many tons, but a lot of water.
A lot, yeah. And it's just it is really crazy to me that, like Callie was saying, how you look at this and you're like, oh, this show takes place in New York, and no, it's in California, and you don't even think twice, and you don't think about how, oh, they are walking a sidewalk in New York, and it's just like everything looks so real. Even the backgrounds, like every little detail to the last touch is thought about. It's crazy.
They since they do use the same backlots for many different movies, TV shows, time frames, they were telling us how, you know, all the details matter. If it's a movie being filmed in the 1920s, but you have a doorknob that was created in 2000, it's not going to make sense, and it's going to mess up the whole plot of the movie. Like, doorknobs, light bulbs, the paint, like, everything that you would never think of making a scene come together is done and paid attention to, and the hard work that is put into it. Like, you would never think my job is to change all the doorknobs and the light fixtures and the signage on a street setting. Like, you would never think that's a thing. And I think it also gave me a better appreciation for all the hard work and talent that goes into creating all these movies and TV shows, like, you know, when a movie ends and you're watching all the credits and you really only think about, oh, the director, maybe the producer, and, like, the actors and actresses. You don't think about the people that did the makeup, the people who did the costumes, the people who set up the entire lot. Like, it is crazy how much hard work, time, and money goes into these things.
Absolutely.
All for people to just watch them and then move on with their day. Like, you don't think about that, and I think it brought us all a new perspective.
And even something as simple as with those, you know, sound stages that aren't really houses, like whenever there was running water or even a light, you know, if they wanted it to look darker, you know, if it was a certain daytime, there's not ceilings in those places. They put a white sheet often over top of it so that they can create the exact lighting that they want. So if you ever see a ceiling in a shot, it's probably not actually a ceiling. And running water, whenever there's running water, they have to have special effects people come in to pump water through the back. You know, so something as simple as you see an actor, actress, you know, on a show or a movie, you know, washing dishes, that's not really running water. That's something they're bringing in as an extra. And they said the generators they had for the power. I cannot imagine the electric bill because, oh my gosh.
The amount of wires that are in those sound stages.
Oh, scary.
It is. It was nuts. Like, you don't realize. And, like, so it's like a big building, and then you go inside, and then there's, like, a house in the middle. It's kind of funny, though, like, when you walk in, because, like, there's a random house in a closed-off building. And then, you know, like Marissa was saying, they're not completely put together. They don't have ceilings half the time. You know, when you see a person going upstairs, there's no upstairs.
Yep.
They go up the steps and then the scene cuts and then they come back down because there's nowhere to go up there. And so usually when you see the second floor of a house in a TV show or something, that's usually filmed on a different stage, or it's not the same house, which I guess makes sense in a way, but at the same time, I never thought about it.
Right, and they said the reason that they can do that is because people just connect and assume that they just went up the steps and they'll make it. You wouldn't even think about it.
Yeah, your brain just makes that assumption that it's all together, even though
and it's really not.
It was a total mind mess up when we were there.
Yeah, and honestly, aside from the sound stages, it was the same way with the tapings. Like,
yes,
some of the things that we did, like, I was like, wow, I never thought of it that way. Like, when we went to America's Got Talent, and they had us cheer for things multiple times. They're like, yeah, you guys are going to be seen on TV, and actually, like, you guys will very likely be seen in the episodes, first episode, second episode, third episode, maybe even fourth. They said we might use your clips of you clapping or reacting to something, like,
multiple times,
and it might not even be like you were at that show. And it's just, you don't even think about that, you know. No, it's not necessarily how it was.
Yeah, I feel like we think when talk shows or shows like America's Got Talent, more, I guess, would that be reality, kind of, I guess? Yes, more like reality-based shows, you know, with real people, with real story, you know, like, not made up.
Right.
You would think that what you see is the first shot, like, one take and done, but that is not the case whatsoever. Like Marissa was saying, with America's Got Talent, there are so many things that we didn't realize. Even going in, we didn't know we would have to practice our clapping and cheering 5 times before we even saw anybody. Right. And, you know, we can't say too much because a lot of the tapings we were at you know, they were pre-recorded, so they're not going to be aired for a while. And we were at the premiere episode taping for America's Got Talent, and, you know, we saw a golden buzzer. Can't say who or anything, but it was kind of sad, I guess, and took away, like, the special moment, because the person who got the golden buzzer had to re-perform and redo the golden buzzer. And, you know, that kind of just makes me think, like, oh, what I see on TV when I'm crying at those golden buzzers, it is most likely not the first time they're performing. And those reactions may not be the first time those people are seeing it.
And we also had to re-react as well. Like, it just, I don't know. And then with, like, the neighborhood taping, because that was more of a, you know, that is scripted. We weren't as part of it as much. You know, obviously we're not shown on the show at all. They use our laughs and reactions as sound.
But... Which I thought that was cool. I didn't realize that they use actual people laughter. It's not. I just assumed that it was the same laughter taping over and over again that they just always use, but it wasn't, which I thought was cool because they did find a way to make us part of it.
Right.
And, you know, like Marissa was saying earlier, there are warm-up people who, they have a cool job. They literally are paid to hype everybody up, make jokes, be goofy.
Give prizes.
Yeah, give out prizes, interact with the audience, which was so cool. The warm-up lady at the top, no, you're right, the reel.
Yeah.
She was very...
She was breaking it down when she was dancing, and she was very blunt about things.
Yeah, very extroverted and out there, but, you know, that also makes for a good warm-up person. You know, you gotta be crazy and not care.
You always gotta bring your A game with enthusiasm. You can't be, you having an off day.
It's like it's like they all had like 5 Red Bulls right before they came out to warm us up. That's how much energy they had.
I was like, oh, I could do that. Then I was like, wait, could I? Because that's a lot of extra stuff. And then we also, as another like type of thing we got to experience, one of the writers from NCIS, Jennifer Corbett, I don't know how to say her last name, but we actually got to sit down in the morning, and she talked to us about a little bit about her career and like kind of her path and everything leading up to it. And then we got to ask her questions after, which there's a lot of people in our class who want to do that. So that was like, to be able to talk to her, someone up front, ask her any questions, like it was just so cool. And she was awesome, really personable and super just
real,
nice and real. Yeah, and that was probably the most real experience we had because it was just one-on-one, and we just got to
to see her experience like firsthand, you know, telling us how she came about this job, where she started, and all that was cool to hear from someone who, you know, isn't on air. Like it's her script that's being read, but she's not on TV, so we don't really think about it.
Right.
But, you know, obviously the role of a scriptwriter is very important.
Absolutely.
And it was cool for the class because, you know, there are people, like you said, who want to be like screenwriters and or even directors, producers, and even though that's not what I want to do exactly, I was excited for them because you could just hear the excitement in their voice when they were asking questions, and it just made me happy because I knew they were getting one step further in their goal and like the dream job that they want. And so that was really cool, and I'm super thankful that Erickson and Strano
set that up.
Yeah, and they got that to work.
Yeah, for sure. And then kind of connecting to that in a way, when we were at the Face the Truth taping, the floor manager, I think was his title. He was awesome. He came and talked to us, and you know, we were talking to him about where we were from and, you know, why we were here for the class. And he was like, oh, well, you know, if you guys want, like, we can take your class behind stage and show you, like, how everything works up in the control room. And that was really cool to have that opportunity as well. Like, I guess I was very taken back by how, like, willing they were to show us, like, everything like that.
Yeah,
you think you'd have to have some sort of special,
Yeah, he went out of his way to, like, make it work because he said usually if they know you're coming ahead of time, they set separate time aside to show you around, meet the producer, go into the control room, work the cameras, work lighting. And, you know, our professors didn't know that because this was the first time they were going to this taping. And when we told him about, you know, what some of the people in our class wanted to do and, like, what else we've been seeing, and he realized that, you know, we didn't get that experience anywhere else yet, he was very persistent about making it work, and he did. He came and got us between tapings and took us downstairs or out back.
Yeah.
And got to meet the producer, and we got to go into the control room to like see all that. And then they actually allowed people from our class to go sit in the control room while there was another taping going on, because, you know, the show was like a drama type talk show, and, you know, for some of the guys that was not as exciting. They didn't really care about that content.
Right.
But when they got to go back and be in the control room,
they were like, this is
they were so excited. And so that was really cool because, you know, even though it wasn't on the schedule for like what exactly we were supposed to do, that guy was so awesome and made it work. And that was also cool that there's people out there who try to give back and they try to help however you can. Like, he gave our professors his email so we could reach out to him if we had any other questions or, like, needed help with anything. And I thought that was really nice of him.
Yeah, absolutely. And then a taping that was, I don't want to say completely different than all the others, but I would say a little different, was Jeopardy.
Yes,
Jeopardy was a lot more.
That was more chill and low key and relaxed, I would say.
Mm-hmm. I think the only, like, they did have, didn't they have an applause sign? And they
I think
have the people that tell us to applause and then, like, kind of fade out.
Mm-hmm.
But that was, or like a slow clap, but that was like it. There wasn't, other than that, like, you really just got to watch the show. And then it was really cool because in between the either commercial breaks or even the tapings, you got to ask Alex Trebek questions, which was just, like, crazy.
Yeah, so. It was, even though this trip wasn't necessarily, like, supposed to be making connections, it was still cool to just see everything and to talk to different people.
Absolutely.
You know, when can you say, oh, I got to ask Alex Trebek a question about blah, 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 and, you know, he answered, and, like, and there was a little girl in the audience who was apparently a really big fan of Jeopardy, and he was like, oh, like, what's your name, and, like, how old are you, how, like, what's your favorite part of Jeopardy, and he was like, can I give you, like, a autograph, like, a signed autograph, like, a picture or something, and she was, like, so excited, and he immediately, went and got a picture signed and gave it to her, and, you know, they're real people. We kind of forget that they are because we see them on TV and in different ways than, like, our normal everyday life, but they do treat other people the same way, and that was really cool to see and special. Like, we weren't just a number. Like, they were trying to make things personable and exciting for us and make it a unique experience.
Yeah, and then, like, when we were at Face of Truth, when Callie, Bernicia, Sydney, and I were up on the stage, I mean, other classmates got to go up as well, but when we were up on the stage sitting up during the show, Vivica Fox, the host, she paused because it was hot for her, and she, like, wanted to fix her makeup, and she was literally having a conversation with us to the side, just to, oh yeah, it's so hot, and we're like, you're so beautiful, you're so beautiful, like, it's so crazy, she's right here.
We were, like, fangirling, and she's like, just fixing her makeup.
Yeah, exactly. And then the reel, we got to hug, like, Tamara and Adrian and
Tani.
Yeah.
And
I always forget the
we always.
I know, this is terrible, but
thank God they'll never hear this.
Sorry, nothing personal. I'm just terrible with names. But yeah, and I mean, in that moment, I broke down with tears, and it's not even like that. I told them, I was like, oh my gosh, like, this is crazy, and they're like, oh, like, don't cry, I'll give you a hug, and, you know, they smell good and stuff. And then when we were in America's Got Talent, like, we got to, like, touch the hands of, like, Gabrielle Union, and then Julianne Hough, like, came up to us and was, like, screaming at us and stuff like that, and, like, and then all these people, like, Terry Crews, like, the people you see, Howie Mandel and Simon Cowell, like, just right there. It was just the most surreal thing. Like, it was just, like, oh my gosh, these people I've seen my whole life are right in front of me, and it just was, oh, yeah, really, really cool.
It was crazy. But it was actually funny because we got to take a picture at the end of the taping of the reel with all the hosts, and so our whole class went up on stage, and, you know, there's a lot of commotion, and I was on one side of the group, and then Marissa and Bernicia were on the other side, and they got to hug Tamara and Adrian, and I look over, and they're both, like, bawling their eyes out, like, but laughing hysterically at the same time, and I just was like, oh my gosh, like, this is such a cool experience. And you know, we had many other
fun
crazy fun we didn't have a lot of downtime, but so we had downtime aside from the class agenda, but it's not like we actually sat down and did nothing. We were constantly on the go,
even if it was like getting food,
moving.
We just wanted to make sure
we did not waste any time. And I think one of my favorite parts about the trip that, you know, wasn't class related, but one night, Marissa, me, Kelsey.
Was Shane there?
Shane was not there. Was it Bernicia with us? It was Bernicia.
Oh.
The escape room.
Oh my
It was the 5 of us, right?
Yep,
yeah.
Yep.
So the 5 of us went to an escape hotel, which actually we saw it a couple nights before and kind of scoped it out, which it was the coolest thing. So, you know, the escape rooms, you know, you go do one, whatever. But, like, this was a whole, like, building, and it was an escape hotel. So you walk in, it looks like a hotel. There's guys just walking around that are trying to, like, mess with you and scare you the whole time. We looked at some rooms because they have a bunch of different options. Some that are not so scary and some that are really scary. Some that are hard and some that aren't.
Right.
And so we thought about it for a couple days and then went back and we chose one, and we did actually the hardest room that they have. It wasn't the most scary.
Right.
The most scary room, you start with the lights off and you're chained and blindfolded? You're chained to the ground and blindfolded.
Yes.
So that's the scariest one, but
we did the most challenging.
We did the most challenging, which it was a cool experience, but don't know if I suggest that to people who have never done an escape room before, because I never have, and I think
we started out really slow. Like,
yeah.
Something was turning the lights on was one of the objectives, and, like, we figured out the things we needed to do, but we couldn't get the sequence right for the timing of, like, we had to, like, pull to match this beat, and, like,
to get a key, to then find the hole to put it in, to turn the lights on.
And they said it wasn't, I don't remember the word she used, but basically that we didn't have to do, it wasn't sequential, we didn't have to do it all in the
together,
order, like, a certain order you have to do it in, like, you could just do it randomly. However, we literally got the last probably 20 minutes, we got so much stuff done, and the guy showed us how little we had left, and it was like...
Yeah, we were so close. Well, and what sucked about that was that you had an hour, there was 5 of us, hardest escape room in the whole thing, but you couldn't get a clue until 15 minutes in, and thank God that was not a life or death situation, because we could not turn those dang lights on to save our lives. We were trying everything, and we finally got to get a clue, and, you know, we tried to figure it out with the clue that they gave us. Still was not enough. Somehow, we don't know how to listen to a beat of a song and replay it with strings. That was sad, but it's fine. So we finally got the sequence, which then...
We didn't have that much time.
Well, even to get that sequence, Bernicia had to put a piece of a puzzle into another thing to get the song to play.
Yeah.
And then we had to, you know, match the sequence to get this doll thing to pop up with the key around her neck. Then we had to find where the key went. Then we turned the lights on. So that whole process was just to get the lights on. You know, then there was like a jillion other things that we had to do. And
then it went to another room.
Yeah, and had numbers.
And we were scrambling because we were like, oh my gosh, we're so close. And I don't even remember what the one last thing was. It was
I remember, because I was angry. I knew we were getting so close, but we were running out of time. And you know when you know you're running out of time, so you start to get more flustered?
Like panicky,
yeah, that's literally what was happening. Panic was taking over my entire body.
And I think we were over, like, any fear, because we had to, like, go back in the other room, and I was like,
no.
I'll go get it. I don't care,
Kelsey was still afraid.
She was.
Low-key, that is her fault. Not completely that we didn't finish, but I was like, Kelsey, go check the time, because we were in, like, a separate room. We had to, like, go through the closet, and the timer was in the first room we started in. But from being there before, we saw that they would go into rooms and scare the people in there. So I think we all were afraid that was going to happen. And I was like, Kelsey, go see how much time we have, because I was working on part of the puzzle. And I looked over at her, and she's just staring at me. And I was like, Kelsey, go, next time. She's like, I can't. Something's going to come pop out and get me. And I was like, Kelsey. And then, you know, a couple minutes later, you guys finished the mirror.
I was like, fine, I'll go check. I was like, I don't care if I get taken. I'll get taken. Like,
and then we had like 4 minutes, and then I was like, oh no, got so flustered.
We were scrambling, like trying to hand each other things, trying to do everything we could, but it was still a really cool experience, and I definitely want to do one again.
Yeah, we were right there. He walked in, and we kind of like not got to like know the guys, but like we knew them a lot better than just going in and being random strangers, because we were there the night before and we got to talk to them. And he walked in and was like, wow. He was like, you guys got a lot more done than I expected. And we were like, really? Like, how much farther do we have? And he actually, you know, showed us what we could do.
It was like
and he like let me do them so we could like see how it was. And we literally had to open a lock, bin, like a locked bin. Then we would get an urn, because we already had 4, but we needed 1 more. Then once you placed the urn in the spot that it went, a light came on. Yeah, like a
little girl came up.
Yeah, holographic thing with Bible verses came up. And then on a wall in the different room, you had to, press them in that order. And then it would give you the knife to then go kill the spirit, because that was the whole thing. We were we never said that. We were in the attic, which a little girl was, like, locked up in there by her, like, parents, and she, died there, and so her spirit was haunting it, and we had to kill the spirit so we could make it out alive, and we were so close. He said we were 90% done, which was kind of sad because we were so close, but...
Well, we did really good considering it was, like, our first one.
Yeah.
And we've never done it, like Callie was saying, even though, like, we got to know each other and become really close, like, we didn't know each other like that, so working in that kind of atmosphere together was just a really cool, like, team building and getting to know your friends experience. Like, we're like, alright, guys, calm down. This person's gonna do this person's gonna do this.
Yeah. And I was really afraid to go in because they were saying it was, one of their more scary ones, and you start with the lights off and all this, and I just was like, you know what, I'm gonna put my big girl pants on. We did it, and they told us, once you get in there, like, you're gonna be so focused on trying to get it solved that you're not gonna pay attention to being scared. Little did I know that was completely true. We got in there, and, well, a guy did pop out at first. He was hiding in there, but then he left, and then
that was it.
We were fine, and it was true, I was so focused on getting stuff done that, I mean, I was still a little bit afraid, but not as much to where it would hold me back from helping everybody, but...
Right.
That was cool experience. Oh, then we went and got crepes, and...
Yes, that was so good.
It was so much fun to be with everyone, especially people we didn't know.
And then, of course, the last day, we were there, the last full day, we went to the beach, and, because you're in California, you gotta experience the beach. It was colder than we wanted, so we didn't really get to, like, go in the water or anything. Obviously, the water was cold anyways, but still just going on the pier and being in such a place that's, again, we've seen in movies and we've heard a lot about, and that was really cool.
Yeah, we went to Santa Monica, and, actually, Marissa and I were there at different times originally. Her and Bernicia and some other people came a little bit later, but earlier in the morning it was a tiny bit warmer, and other Marissa actually jumped in the water. I think she's nuts, and I don't understand how she did it because it was chilly. There was a breeze. I mean, the sun was shining a little bit more in the morning than later in the day, but she jumped right in, came out, put her clothes back on, was, like, ready to go, and I was like, oh no, girl, you are a brave soul. But yeah, it did get a little chilly throughout the day, which was sad, but overall, we didn't have the best weather. I think we definitely brought the rain from Virginia and the crappy weather over to California with us, but I think overall it was
a really good trip.
An amazing experience, and
tying it back to the class, we had to make a vlog.
Yeah, because this was for a class.
Right. And ours was on Callie and I were in the same group, and we had the Walk of Fame assigned to us, so that was something we had to do on our own time since it wasn't, like, planned in the schedule.
Yeah, and that was a little bit difficult. The last day, me, Marissa, and another girl in our group, Morgan, we were trying to finish up our, filming footage because... Obviously, it's not like we could come back here, edit it, and then, we need another clip and go all the way back to California. So we were trying to get some more footage and, like, interviews, and we were leaving at 10 in the morning. It's, like, 9:45, and we are down the street, still filming. All of a sudden, we realized how quick we, like, were losing track of time, and Marissa and I are booking it back to the hotel. I wasn't even done packing. Marissa was smart and packed the night before. I was not so smart. I'm throwing all my stuff in the suitcase. Of course, we get down there and everybody's waiting for us. We were late every single day. It's fine.
Right on time.
Yeah, it's fine. You can't rush perfection, so it's whatever. And we get down there. Everyone's getting into the vans to go back. I hadn't eaten breakfast. I tried to make oatmeal, left it in the hotel room.
We were going to go to Starbucks, but it happened to randomly be closed that
morning. Yeah, Starbucks messed us up and was closed for some reason. Marissa went and got Subway. I should have. I don't know why I didn't, but made oatmeal, couldn't eat it, left it in the hotel room. we're in the van, sweating. Like, I am telling you, it is chilly outside. We're wearing sweatshirts, but I'm sweating because we were struggling to get downstairs and, like, ran across LA trying to get all taken care of, and we get in the van. Marissa's about to go eat her breakfast Subway, and I look over and there's a no eating or drinking sign.
Or smoking, and I was like,
well, we didn't care.
Yeah, I was like, well, I got the Subway and it's gonna be bad by the time we get to the airport, so.
Desperate times call for desperate measures. It's
Absolutely.
okay. But we got to the hotel. We got to the airport, which I disagree with all LAX famous things. That was such a tiny part we were in. There was no good food. Of course, it was Sunday, so Chick-fil-A was not open. I paid, like, all this money for
Food
bagels.
you didn't really want.
Yeah, it was, that's the only thing that, honestly, I think that was the suckiest part about the trip is LAX.
Well,
I
it
was
weird
so
too,
hungry.
Because our flight was delayed, but then somehow, like, it got back on track, so all of us
Yeah.
were, like, thrown off. Like,
It was
Kelsey
very
and I
confusing.
were sprinting back to the terminal because we were like, we're gonna miss this
I
flight
called
because
you,
it's in LA.
yeah.
Like, because we were waiting for our food, waiting. All we got was bagels with spread on it.
Yeah.
And it just, I was like, Kelsey, I'm so anxious. And a lot of people were anxious because sadly that plane crash happened like the day before. And
No, that day.
The same day, okay. And we were on the same model plane, you know, because Southwest has a lot of those, you know, model planes. But, you know, we made it back safely, and we actually made
it back 10 years later.
Yeah, true.
Even though the flight was a lot quicker by the time, because we had to drive 3 hours back to Bridgewater, and our bus driver had to, like, stop and, like, take a walk break or something. Like,
some, clotting
yeah,
disorder,
like 30 minutes from Bridgewater. We still have not eaten at this point. Like, all I had to eat that day was, like, some chips and, like, a pizza bagel, like, oversized pizza bagel that they made at Einstein Bagels that I got in the airport. But, like, we didn't stop to get any food because by the time we flew in to BWI, a lot of stuff was closed. Erickson and Strano were not allowing us to stop for food.
We stopped at this
Still
store,
salty with them.
They only took, like,
cash,
and
which I spent all of my cash.
Yeah.
Who
I
thought
don't like having cash. I spent all mine too, and I was like, well, guess I'm not eating.
So, like, we finally got back to Bridgewater, like
1:30.
Yeah, and we're, like, all running across campus, trying to get back to our rooms, like,
people were 8 a.m. in the morning. Like,
we were, I think, delirious at that point. Because I could not sleep on that bus coming back. I could not get comfortable, and adjusting to the time when we got back, I think, was the hardest.
The time change, and then we had that hour,
yeah.
Forward. Yeah, the time change thing.
Yeah.
Bring forward. And
yeah.
that was an additional hour that threw us off, so.
Going there, adjusting to the time wasn't as hard, but coming back, it really hit me, like,
class and stuff.
I could not fall asleep until, like, 2 a.m. because really it was only, like, 11 there.
Right.
You know, so that was really hard.
You get up for your 8 a.m., which is at, like, you know, you get up at 7:30, 7:45, and then you're like, oh, wow.
But really there,
feels like it's freaking 4 or 5 in the morning.
Because really to us, for the past 11 days it was, so that was definitely the hardest part, but
all in all, so worth it.
Overall, yeah.
Great memories and friends.
It was amazing. Like, I personally was having a really hard time before the trip. I, you know, lost some friends, was going through some stuff, and things were just not great. Like, I wasn't happy. And so going on this trip, I was like, oh no, like, how is this gonna go? Like, I don't really know anybody. I got to know Marissa and Bernicia and Morgan a little bit better because we were in a group, so we, like, kind of were forced to work together, but I am so thankful for the trip. I'm thankful for, you know, everyone in the class, and especially our smaller group of people. You know, the 10 of us, I think we shared memories and experiences that no one will ever understand, and, you know, Erickson and Strano for planning all this. You know, it took months to plan all the people they had to get in contact with, all the tickets,
a lot of
the
tickets
scheduling.
They had to wait till, like, right before, so it was really, like, tedious, and just, like, the time thing, you know, and to be a planner and then have to wait till really close to when a show happens.
It's stressful.
It's really hard.
And, you know, they had to keep track of all 22 of us, and Erickson had his family there, so, like, you know, he wanted to spend time with them sometimes, but, like, you know, he had to take us places, and I'm just very thankful for the entire trip. I have never been on a trip where everything was perfect. Like, despite the weather, everything else was so enjoyable and fun that like, it cancels out the weather completely.
Really
like, I will never forget it. Like, I'm still looking back at pictures and I'm like, wow, like, can I please go back? Like, it was, I don't know how to put into words that it was a once in a lifetime trip. And, you know, I'm also very thankful to my parents. They, you know, helped fund this trip. It wasn't cheap, you know, flying across, you know, all the way to California and all the things we did. Not a cheap excursion, but everyone that made this possible and all the people that were there, I am forever grateful for. Like, I'm sure I'm still going to be spamming Instagram and Twitter with all of our pictures and all of our funny inside jokes until we graduate and then on. Everyone's going to be so annoyed.
Yeah, but... and like, you know, kind of to Callie's point, it's, you know, the trip was a great experience itself, but what made it special was the people we were with, because it just, you know, who you're traveling with makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
And we were just with a fun, you know, you just go with the flow group. Like, it was just, we all were just like, yeah, like, let's just go eat. Like, let's chill. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
We can go to IHOP, or we can go to Subway for the 4th time.
Yeah.
It's right across
yeah,
the
and
thing. Like,
the last night.
Chilled with everybody.
Yeah,
like,
the last night there, we all got Uber Eats and sat in the hotel room and watched movies and played games and just then we were having a great time. Like, we never weren't having fun.
Right.
Everything was, we were laughing, we were joking around, and we all just mesh really well, which is unbelievable, because 10 people to mesh all together and to not have like a crazy fight or anything.
Right.
That's like unheard of. Especially
for all different friend groups and different
and it was 8 girls and 2 guys in our individual group, and I expected something to go south at some point, and it really didn't. You know, there was nothing that one thing I could say, you know, oh, if this changed, it would have been perfect. Like, no, it was. And I was also kind of afraid when we got back that we all wouldn't hang out, but, you know, Marissa and I have gotten a lot closer. I'm a lot closer with Bernicia, and, you know, Kelsey, other Marissa, Shane and I, we still go out to get dinner, and it was a great trip.
It really was.
And I wish we were still there. Bridgewater's cool and all, but nothing compared to California and LA.
And yeah, I think just to kind of this trip, you know, for the future to come, it just really opened my eyes, at least, to see that, you know, as cool as it is to grow up in, like, you know, where you're at, there is really cool things to go and see. And I know, like, Callie has told me before, she really wants to travel, and this is just a really cool precursor to what she has ahead of her, and for all of us, you know, whatever we do, get to go and see and experience. So
yeah, it was a great trip. And, you know, if you've listened to this and you
think you might be interested,
I definitely recommend it. It's offered every 2 years.
Yeah.
So
you just go and talk to Erickson Estrella. They can definitely
highly recommend. 11 out of 10. Best trip ever. I would not pass it up for the world.
Too true. Well, thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you.
I'm Marissa.
And I'm Callie, and I hope you enjoyed.